It's good to see you. Happy Wednesday. I hope you have had a nice start to your week. As you can see, I am back on the couch with Teikie WooWoo. Say hi, Teikie. This is Teikie WooWoo, and so we are here for the second session of Pretty Talk Couch Sessions, Ladies Edition. And so last week you got to hear me talk with my mom and my grandma and Emmy, and this week I get to sit with beautiful Teikie. And Teikie, let's just start, okay? Let's just get started.
Okay.
So how long have we known each other?
Jasmine, well, you know I knew you
Before
Jasmine even existed. And it's funny how we've come full circle because our moms were high school friends.
Yes, they were, and they're still friends
They're
to this
still
day.
friends to this day.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the NYSP camp at OSU with your brother. Didn't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
He remembered me, but I never remembered him. So just everything just came full circle.
Full circle.
Yep.
I know. Teikie literally has been in my life for 34, almost 35 years, and that's how long I've been here. So, but I have to say, like, I remember childhood memories, most specifically where we all used to literally pile up in Teikie's small car. And when you're a kid, you don't know the model of cars or anything like that. So you're like, it was just a small car. But now when I look back, I'm like, a bunch of us used to pile up in a little bitty, what was it?
About 10,
Geo Prism.
Yep, and there was probably about at least 10 of us.
And you had people, maybe 2 kids in the front
Right.
with Charmin. And then we all was stuffed in the back.
And everybody was lined up in the back seat with somebody on their lap.
That's
but we
right.
made it and we still have fun.
That's right. I mean, that's like one thing I remember is we had really good memories. Really good memories. So this is like really cool. And we were just talking before we got started, and I said, Teikie, I had a Geo Prism. That was like my last car before I got a big girl car. So that is so funny. But Teikie, thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So, we're going to get started and just talk about how has knowing each other made a difference in our lives. And you all know that we're starting this series, and it's really just about the importance of having relationships with women, right? And so Teikie represents that generation that's, you know, underneath my mom and grandma, right? Not old, but got experience. Mm-hmm. And so, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, not, yeah. I mean, and it's important. So even talking together, 2 different generations, and now, you know, how has it made a difference in your life? You want me to go first? You want to go first?
Doesn't matter. I can go.
Okay.
So I was the type of person, I've always been quiet, a little reserved, shy. Let's just say, well, situational quiet, most of the time quiet. But if I got to know people, then, you know, I was a little more talkative. But then I was also felt like I was awkward a little bit, didn't really necessarily feel like I could really make a difference in anybody's lives. But then, you know, as you get older and you start to experience things, or you experience things in your teen years that you don't think that is, you can share that or relate that to someone that might be going through it, but you're too afraid to talk about it. And so you just get to a point where, you know, you want the Lord to use you to help somebody. And the only way He could do that, you know, effectively, is that you go through what you go through, you learn from it, and you're able to help somebody else that could be going through similar or the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. And with Teikie saying that, you know, that was a big piece of not just the childhood memories, but once I became a teenager, and you all know some of my testimony, I've shared bits and pieces so you could put it together, that Teikie was one of the first people I went to say, like, I'm struggling in this area and I need somebody to talk to. And it was the first time that I felt safe enough to talk about my experiences, but it was because Teikie was open about her own experience with me. And she wasn't shy to say, you know, I've been there, I've done that. And I don't know, maybe sometime later we could actually have an actual conversation about that.
Right.
Because like I said, you know, I always let y'all know when it's not for kids. So this one is kid friendly. You know, and it's just, I appreciate it because I realized that I had a safe space, and that if there was something hard or sensitive that I needed to get off my chest, I could talk to Teikie. And so I'm really grateful for that.
Right. And you know, you feel blessed. I feel blessed to be able, because you know, you have to get through it and go through it. That doesn't mean that, you know, certain situations aren't going to come up again, but you have the tools, and you're like, okay, if I not unintentionally mentoring someone,
Right.
you want to be able to say, hey, I was here, went through this, and this is how I got through it.
Mm-hmm.
And you take from it what you need to help yourself.
Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. Tools. We might have to do that, Teikie. Have a video about the tools you gotta use. Huh? Because Jesus is a wonder.
Hashtag too.
The next question is really just about how has sharing our experiences with each other, like we just gave you a little bit, you know, strengthened our relationship with one another. And I guess I'll start first this time because, you know, I thought about accountability and intentionality, because when you are a young person and you're experiencing hardship, no matter what type of hardship it is, you know, and we talked about everything, physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, you go through a lot, and everybody can go through different types of struggles, right? And you have to make sure you're accountable, right? Because if you're not accountable, then you just let yourself go to the wind. And especially, again, understand, we're talking about believers, right? So if you're not trying to walk with Christ, then the conversation is a little different. But if you are, and you want to please him, that accountability I found is so important. And I know for me, the intentionality is even more important in making sure you connect. Because as you grow up, you make different decisions, you know, like we don't see each other all the time anymore, but we're still connected, we're still close. And so for me, what I shared with you all about being unashamed and having that safe space, it really helped me in my freedom and in my deliverance. And that really started, at 14. Because that's when the struggle, you know, kind of reemerged, and I needed that accountability and that help. And like I said, Teikie was a safe space for me, but it also became the accountability because I knew there was somebody that knew, girl, I know you be going through, you know, I know you be going through it, so don't be acting like it don't be coming up. Because like we talked about even earlier before we started recording, you know, once that part of your life opens up, you can't close it. No. That's why they call it Pandora's box. Yeah. You cannot close it. And so I remember most recently, I had to share with Teikie something that she had no idea about. She did not know. And you know, she was like shocked. And I said, but Teikie, it had nothing to do with you, you know, but I had to let you know because that was all a part of the journey that has led me here to be so passionate about helping people and not being afraid to talk about these things, because people hide in shame, right? And they hide in unforgiveness of themselves. And going all the way back to 14, I knew I didn't have to do that because of the relationship that I had built. So that's why Teikie is Teikie WooWoo. You know, that's just her nickname. So what about you, Teikie?
Oh, you know, the irony is just everything for me started when I was 14.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Never told me that.
Started at 14, but then when the Lord blesses you to get through, well, first of all, you got to change your mind because you're already blessed to get through anything that you want to get through. But you know, once you become that person who has shared, you know, like experiences, that makes you accountable. You have to be like, okay, no, you can't allow yourself, not that it's not going to come back up, whether it's mentally or physically, whatever it is, it's going to come back up because you're going to be tested. But the accountability comes in as like, no, I can't look at that situation and get myself into that situation, because I got too many people that, you know, I've been fortunate enough to be able to help. It wasn't like on purpose. It's just, you know, the Lord sends you who needs you,
Right.
and you help them, and it's like, you know, you can't go backwards. And so the unashamed part, you come out of that because it becomes a testimony, and you can share it. I didn't have a problem sharing it with anybody. Whatever my situation was, it was somebody else is going through it, and I should be able to at least share what helped me and how I got through it.
Right.
So, yeah.
And, you know, we're really at the end of this part of the conversation, which is like crazy. In the setup, okay? We should have had bloopers. But this is important because, like I said, I think we will do a tools one. We'll come up with something because we really got to dive deep. This was really just to encourage you all. Like I said, the whole point of this series is about developing relationships, women and young ladies and girls. Because if we could start earlier at developing these relationships, you know, young girls wouldn't have to go through a lot of the things we go through, right? Because we can pour into them in a different way. And even if they come up with the same exact situation, they'll have other tools.
Right.
They'll have support that they know, like, I can go to, especially in the church. And we shy away from relationships with boys. We shy away from girls that might think they like girls. We shy away from, you know, fornication. And we shy away from eating disorders and body image and all that. And it's like, where else should we be helping each other? In church,
Right.
You know? And so Teikie and I, you know, of course, church is where the foundation of our relationship came. But like she said in the very beginning, our mothers have been friends way before. And so even to hear their stories and their testimonies, and how before Christ, you know, life was different. You know, we gonna have to do something. We gonna have to bring them together. So we might be coming back, y'all. So thank you so much for hanging in with us. This is a little bit longer, but just because we're having these couch sessions, and as my little sister would say, I ain't sitting on no leather couch, but it ain't leather, okay? So I love y'all, and I will see you next week in the next video. Peace.